This is CBC Here and Now.
Well, we say goodbye to the warm temperatures, and an incoming system this weekend is going to bring some messy weather for parts of the province.
It's just a really great feel-good moment when you help someone, and I mean something like this comes out of it, like a full house for 5 other people.
5 new apartments for 5 young families.
Meet the builders behind this powerful project.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain. That story in just a moment. But first, a Hopedale man has been charged with second-degree murder. It's in connection with the death of a man this past July. Daniel Onalik was arrested and charged today. He's 19 years of age. Police say the victim, a 44-year-old man also from Hopedale, was violently assaulted back in May. Now, initially, Onalik was charged with aggravated assault, but that was before the victim passed away. Police say it was a result of his injuries. Onalik appeared in court today and is being held in custody. He's due back in court early next week.
Well, 5 young families in St. John's will soon find home in new affordable housing units built by Choices for Youth. And as Here and Now's Heather Gillis reports, those families aren't the only ones benefiting.
This is the first affordable housing project in the province dedicated to young families, with 5 brand new apartments. It was built by Impact Construction, a social enterprise run by Choices for Youth that trains young, at-risk people in construction.
It's amazing, it's beautiful, and I can't wait to see people living in it.
It gave April Evans hands-on experience learning to build with contractors.
So it was me and him for the first 3 months wiring up this place, and I was doing everything he didn't want to do, right? So I got sweaty and dirty and done everything that he told me to do, and I done a really good job.
Evans is now in school, studying to be an electrician. She's the only woman in her class and getting straight A's.
I just wish I found this place, I guess, a little earlier. But either way, I found this place, and it's the biggest, best experience I've ever had in my life.
It's just a really great feel-good moment when you help someone, and I mean something like this comes out of it.
James Hoskins was a mentor on the project. He's in college now studying children and youth with addictions, something he has personal experience with.
I want to say it was close on 6-7 years ago. I was addicted to substance, and I found these guys through my brother, and I was fortunate enough to get offered a job here, and I've been clean ever since.
But there were some issues with the project. Tools were stolen from the job site at one point. But Choice's executive director Sheldon Pollitt says many of the 38 young people who were involved have gone on to find jobs or enroll in school. And he says the project has saved the government money in the long run.
It's generated over 8,000 hours of employment for young people, amounting to over $100,000 in earned income for young people, which translates also into over $60,000 of savings to the provincial government from the income support system.
Choices for Youth says these apartments are specifically for people in their Mama Moments program. They hope people will be moving into the apartments after December 1st. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Plenty of sunshine, the story today, although we did see these cooler temperatures move in, only seeing highs anywhere from 6 to 8 degrees across the island, 1 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and staying below 0 for Lab City today at -2. Temperatures are going to continue to drop as we head through the night tonight. Area of high pressure in place. We are starting to see some cloud cover move in as well, and that's ahead of our next weather maker, which actually is the remnants of what was Hurricane Ada, and that's going to head our way as we head through the overnight tonight. Already prompting some snowfall warnings for most of eastern Newfoundland. Now, the snowfall warnings are a little bit tricky because some areas are going to see much more snow than others, and it depends on whether you're near the coast or in higher elevations. But I'll break all of that down for you coming up.
There is one new case of COVID-19 to report in the province tonight. This time, it's a man in the central region in his 20s or 30s. The province says this case is travel-related. The man is a resident who recently returned home from Ontario. He's been self-isolating since arrival. Now, the cases in this province have been low, but already health officials are worried that Christmas may change that. A little later in the show, Here and Now's Peter Cowan sits down with the province's chief medical officer for a one-on-one feature interview. Dr. Janice Fitzgerald says travel, parties, and gatherings will likely lead to more cases.
You've recommended to people that they don't travel this Christmas. Lots of people are going to travel. Either they're going to go to visit family in the rest of the country. How worried are you about the first couple weeks of January and what might happen as we see that increased movement?
Yeah, certainly we are concerned about that. You know, I think everybody is a bit worried about that here in Atlantic Canada, that, you know, post-Christmas that's when we're going to see increased number of cases, perhaps some of these clusters of cases from gatherings that people may have over Christmas, or if they go away and attend gatherings over Christmas and then come home, that we will see those clusters of cases. So yeah, we're all really, I think, anxious about those first couple of weeks after Christmas, for sure.
And there is so much to talk about, like, is this province ready when a vaccine is approved? And how has the Chief Medical Officer of Health handled becoming a familiar face? You'll want to stick around for her answers to those questions and others later on Here and Now. In other news tonight, schools are planning to allow for more extracurricular activities, even though public health restrictions are getting tighter. The Newfoundland and Labrador English School District says it will increase extracurricular activities like music and sports, including practices and tournaments, as long as public health guidelines are followed. Now, those guidelines have changed. Students are now required to stay home if they have only one symptom of COVID-19 rather than two symptoms. So if a student has even so much as a runny nose, they're supposed to stay away from school. Meanwhile, the teachers' union disagrees with the move, saying it's contradictory to increase student activities while also tightening health precautions.
The commander of 9 Wing Gander says there are strict COVID-19 protocols in place while American military personnel are here. About 70 members of the U.S. Navy are in Gander this week doing patrol flights in the North Atlantic. Officials say they have the proper exemptions and are following rigorous guidelines. Now, over the summer, U.S. military personnel in St. John's were accused of not isolating when they were here. This time, troops have to quarantine in their hotel, which, according to 9 Wing's commander, has a separate entrance, a designated stairwell eating area, and distinct laundry rooms for the troops. Well, to the West Coast now, where a town is offering large financial incentives to attract and keep doctors and specialists. Stephenville is giving out two $50,000 bursaries to new physicians at the Sir Thomas Roddick Hospital. It's providing doctors and specialists with a leased vehicle, and it's offering extra relocation money and free family memberships to recreation facilities such as a gym, a golf course, and a curling club. The Stephenville area has about 25,000 people. All incentives are being paid for by the taxpayers, and the mayor says it's worth it because the region needs more doctors and specialists.
We have a couple of GPs that have left, and they leave for different reasons, for family, for career choices. Our surgeon that we have here now got us notice in. He'll be leaving. I know that they are recruiting right now for replacements. So we had to move, and last Thursday's public meeting, we made it public, and we inked it, and we got to communicate it to Western Health. So here's what Stephenville has, and I think it's going to help to recruit the deficiencies that we have.
Well, 3 technology projects in this province are getting $1 million from the Ocean Supercluster. An event announcing the funding happened earlier today in St. John's. The Supercluster initiative helps promote innovation in Atlantic Canada's ocean sector. It's funded by the federal government and by the businesses involved. Genoa Design and Kraken Robotics will use the money to build and commercialize 3D engineering software. Blue Training and Cougar helicopters are working on a device to train search and rescue operators under realistic, harsh offshore conditions. And Smart Ice is developing technical skills training for Inuit and Labrador and other parts of the north.
Well, it calls itself the Anglican Church of the Good Samaritan, and soon it's going to have a new home thanks to a massive anonymous donation. Someone has given the congregation $2.5 million. Now, that money is being used to buy the St. Michael's complex on St. Clair Avenue in St. John's. It was formerly part of the Max chain of fitness centers. The donor also offered to pay for renovations and operations such as heat, light, and snow clearing. The Church of the Good Samaritan is part of an Orthodox Anglican movement that broke away from the Anglican Church of Canada. Samaritan leaders reject the Church of Canada's mainstream values, particularly the acceptance of same-sex marriage. The former director of the Corner Brook Downtown Business Association, Nicole McKinnon, was acquitted of 2 counts of fraud today. She was accused of using volunteer board member Diane Starling's personal credit card. Judge Kimmel Howe says Starling did not have credible testimony. She considered it vague and at times difficult to follow. McKinnon faced a year of house arrest last year for writing and cashing checks to herself from the Downtown Business Association. She pleaded guilty to theft, fraud, and possession of stolen goods. The association has suspended operations indefinitely. Well, we're soon going to know what's going to happen with the Dominion strike. 1,400 workers at 11 stores right across the province walked off the job in late August. They've just finished voting on the final offer from Loblaw. Cease Hare reports.
I'm at the Dominion store picket line on Stavanger Drive. The pickets have stayed up during this ratification process that started on Monday. The outcome tonight will determine whether we'll see an end to a strike that has seen animosity, secondary pickets, political intervention, police and riot gear, and litigation. CBC has obtained a copy of the offer. It's for 4 years with pay increases starting at 35 cents an hour and going up to an extra $1.35 an hour by the end of that time frame. Workers wanted a $2 an hour pay raise. The offer also includes a letter that says this is the company's final offer and the Union Bargaining Committee sees no pathway to a better one. If approved, a signing bonus, a PC gift card for employees valued between $50 and $500 depending on their status and years punched in. The 12-week strike heated up in late October when the union started secondary pickets. The first one was at the company's distribution center and warehouse in Donovan's Industrial Park. Then the union went to Weston's Bakery just down the road, owned by the family that owns Loblaw. The company then went to court to stop secondary pickets at its 40 locations across the province, but lost. An injunction was, however, issued for the warehouse. At one point at a secondary picket, RNC officers showed up wearing riot gear. Unifor, the union, filed a lawsuit against the police force, claiming the police action violated the strikers' charter rights. NDP leader Alison Coffin even called it an excessive use of force. The RNC is defending its actions, arguing the police has a responsibility to allow companies to operate legally. A week later, a provincially appointed mediator was assigned to the dispute, and days later, a tentative offer was reached. We're told that we'll know the results sometime later on this evening after the members have been notified. Cease Hare, CBC News, St. John's.
It's nice outside the studio right now. Tomorrow night at this time, it's going to look very different, and it's going to look very different depending on where you are across the Avalon. I'll have all those details coming up.
right, it is Friday
Yes,
and
it
some
is.
messy weather on the way, which is too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was about time. It's
Yeah.
we're
It was
into
bound to
November
happen.
now. It was bound to happen for sure. But yes, this first system that's going to affect us, at least in the east, is going to be a messy one. Let's take a look at the temperatures today. Only reaching a high near 6 to as much as 9 degrees in Burgeo today, and temperatures a little cooler up through Labrador. And where we're sitting right now is in the 1 to 3 or 4 degree range, and those temperatures are just going to continue to drop. We did see some showers a little bit earlier today, and they have moved off, and then a beautiful afternoon thanks to a ridge of high pressure, but we do have some cloud cover moving in now, and that is ahead of our next weather maker, which I just mentioned a little bit earlier. That will move in as we head through the night tonight, mainly bringing the potential for some showers down along the south coast, and that won't be until the early morning hours. We'll just see some cloud cover push in, and then some flurries possible for Labrador as well. And we'll see that potential for showers, like I said, in the early morning hours. Now, temperatures tonight are going to be chilly, 1 degree in St. John's, with the winds generally light, upwards of about 20 kilometers per hour in the east. Otherwise, dropping down to the single digits, and then down along the south coast, which is why we're going to see that rain. You should be hovering around 1 to 5 degrees into the early morning hours. Chilly for Happy Valley Goose Bay, -10 tonight, and then that potential for some flurries, like I said, for Lab City, and -7. And then tomorrow is when we're going to see all that messy weather move in. So showed you this before, snowfall warnings in place, most of eastern Newfoundland and the northern Avalon. But again, it is dependent on where you are about what you're going to see. So let's take a look at the future tracker first, just to show you kind of what's going to happen. We'll see that snow start to move further north as we head into the morning hours. That's when we should start to see that snow for the Avalon as well. Mainly staying as rain along the southern portions of the Burin Peninsula as well as the Avalon. This pink here is where we could see some mixing. So that certainly is possible for most of the southern portions of the Burin Peninsula as well as the Avalon. And then we get back into that northerly flow, and it does look like things will start to, we'll see more snow, and it'll intensify as well. This should be when we start to see the most intense snow into the evening hours, and the winds are going to ramp up as well. 60 to 70 kilometer per hour winds are certainly possible, and this will continue through the first half of Sunday. So temperatures not overly warm, sitting around the 2 degree mark for the majority of the island, and then we've got temperatures into the minus single digits for Labrador, so -4 for Happy Valley Goose Bay. You're going to stay with plenty of sunshine. So this is mainly the Avalon or the island event. This is what I'm thinking snowfall wise, 5 to 10 centimeters for central and western areas. Along the coast though is where you're going to see that mixing, and again it's because this is what's going to play a role in this. The water temperatures, the ocean surface temperatures, are only in the mid-single digits, or are in the mid-single digits. So it's looking like anywhere along the coast we'll see things change to or mix with rain for most of the day. So that means that these accumulations where these snowfall warnings are, where you could see anywhere from 10 to 20 centimeters, will be significantly less than that, and then a mainly rain event along the southern portions of the island. Now, I just want to show you that from what the models are picking up on, and here's what I'm talking about. So anywhere along the coast, models are saying, you know, trace to maybe 5 centimeters of snow, certainly in the for the northern portion of the Avalon as well. Areas in the higher elevations, so like Galway, Kenmount, all those areas will probably see the accumulation. Whether you see 20 centimeters or not will depend on how much ice pellets we see as well. So certainly something to keep in mind for tomorrow. You're probably going to say, well, Ashley, you said there's going to be lots of snow, but there isn't in my area. If you're driving around the city, that's where you'll probably see a difference. So this one will be messy. Like I said, it's going to stick around through the first half of Sunday. We're going to see the potential again for some more rain and snow. Won't be anywhere near the accumulations that we'll likely see tomorrow, but still going to be a messy day. It'll taper to flurries through central as well, and then a ridge of high pressure will move in for the rest of Sunday and clear things out. And the first half of Monday is looking not too bad either as far as some sunshine goes. Then the next one will move in. This one's looking messy as well, going to bring some snow for portions of Labrador. And then starting as rain on Monday for western portions of the island rather. And then as we head further inland, again, we're going to see the potential for some snow. Here's where we'll be sitting temperature-wise on Sunday, sitting around the 2 degree mark again. So not moving too much, and then quiet, cool cool day for Happy Valley Goose Bay as well, -1. And then into Monday, temperatures again anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees, starting as rain, and then we'll see that potential for mixing head towards central into the afternoon on Monday. So another one to keep an eye on for sure. After that, we're looking at temperatures in the single digits and the potential for some showers into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in the east. Things will stay unsettled for central. However, a little bit of a jump in temperatures on Tuesday may mean we'll see some more rain mix in. And then Wednesday, some sunshine for central, hovering around the 2-degree mark. For eastern Labrador, you're looking at flurries for Monday, and then Tuesday, similar temperatures, and then same thing for western Labrador, with temperatures dipping into the minus single digits and flurries. Wanted to share this beautiful shot of the cirrus moving in out ahead of our next system. Thank you to Dawn for sharing that with us, and if you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Some good news about a vaccine, but it's a long winter for a pandemic. I'm sitting down with Dr. Janice Fitzgerald, coming up on Here and Now.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Trudeau says he's told premiers across the country that there's a limit to the help that Ottawa can offer in the fight against COVID-19.
One of the things that I did highlight is that our resources are not infinite at the federal government, whether it comes to support on contact tracing, extra support on PPE, support through the military or the Red Cross. We are there to support the provinces as they handle this pandemic, but there is a threshold beyond which, when the cases spike too much, we might have to make really difficult choices about where to deploy the limited resources we have.
Now, Trudeau did announce more funding today, $1.5 billion, and it's for retraining workers in sectors that the pandemic hit the hardest.
Well, a year ago, most people in this province didn't know the name Dr. Janice Fitzgerald. That was before a pandemic propelled the Chief Medical Officer of Health into the spotlight, making her one of the most powerful people in this province. You see her at the weekly COVID-19 briefings, but she hasn't agreed to a one-on-one TV interview until tonight. From the impact of her health measures to her own discomfort with being a household name, she shared it all with Here and Now's Peter Cowan.
Dr. Fitzgerald, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
When you look at the success we've had so far in Newfoundland and Labrador, especially when you look at the rising case numbers in the rest of the country, how much of that is thanks to the geography we have, the fact that we are relatively remote, and how much of that is thanks to the health measures that we brought in?
So we certainly can't discount that our geography does contribute to our favourable position. I think we don't have a whole lot of points of entry into the province. Part of our province is an island. Part of our province is a little more remote. So that certainly does impact the amount of travel that's coming here to the island. And we know our biggest risk is importation. So if you don't have as much travel, certainly that's going to reduce that risk. But in addition to that, having the travel restrictions as well as the quarantine measures that we have in place has certainly made a difference with regard to making sure that we're able to keep our caseload as low as possible.
Along with the benefits that we've seen from these measures, there are also costs, and different people end up bearing the brunt of these or not. For example, if you've got someone who doesn't routinely travel and their family is close by, the travel restrictions may not have any effect on them. But then on the other side, you've got folks like rotational workers that are traveling back and forth, quarantining very often. A lot of them are frustrated. They're frustrated by the fact that they are having to bear the brunt of these measures in order to keep other people safe. How do you respond to that frustration that they've been disproportionately affected by these measures?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we can certainly appreciate the frustration that rotational workers in particular feel about this. We've tried as best we can to try to balance that, the risk along with the risk to the population, along with the risk to the workers, and that has been something that we've tried to pay, quite a bit of attention to, but that's public health, that's what we have to do all the time, is try to balance. When we're looking at the population as a whole, we have to try to balance the risks of our measures with the benefits of them, and try to reach that, try to reach the best control that we can with the least impact on as many people as possible. So.
They look at, for example, though, places like PEI where their isolation can end a whole lot earlier because they're doing testing almost immediately, and then another one after a week, and then another one later on. Why can't we be more, aggressive in trying to find creative ways to be able to allow more travel without increasing that risk?
So when we're looking at testing, it's easy to talk about, it's a lot harder to do. And, PEI is a smaller province, and so logistically it's a little bit easier for them to do it. So certainly we have looked at, and we have brought in that, obviously. We've certainly brought in testing to try to reduce the quarantine period in half for rotational workers. So we have used some combination of the two.
You've announced this week that you're not going to be granting exemptions for Christmas travel for people from other provinces who live away and want to be able to come home. If you look at Nova Scotia, they haven't had a travel ban in place throughout the pandemic. They've just been requiring that 14 days of isolation. When you look at the number of cases they've had over the last few months, on a per capita basis, it's not far off the number of cases we have. Doesn't that show that, in fact, we could drop the travel ban and maintain the quarantine and still be in a good place that we are right now?
I think it's difficult to say for sure. We don't really know what, what exactly the travel is, what travelers Nova Scotia is seeing compared to the travelers that we're seeing. Are they coming from the same places, that sort of thing. So that's one thing to consider. But it's certainly something that we're always looking at. It's just at this point, with the way things were going across the country, we just did not feel that it was a good time to make a change. But it is something that we're going to look at going forward. It's obviously something that we've been considering for quite a number of weeks, actually. And I think most of us really wanted to be able to do that, but it just did not make sense when we looked at what was happening across the country right now.
You said before that the concern is that not everyone is going to isolate. But do we have any evidence? Because when we see those new cases, we see in news release after news release, it says the person's been isolating since they've returned. They've been isolating since they've returned. Aside from the one case in Labrador, it seems that, on the cases that have faced the scrutiny, people are following the rules.
Yeah, so we have had 2 or 3 people that weren't isolating properly when they came back over the course of the last several months, I guess. The thing is, we don't know, these are the people that we're finding out about. These are only the people that are testing positive, which is probably a small proportion of the people who are actually coming back. But we don't know how many people who are actually returning are actually following the rules for isolation. We don't have that information, and we are, even if we follow up, when we follow up with people, you're still trusting an honor system that they are following. And certainly most, if not all, the people who are contacted are saying that they are following the rules, but there's still not always a way to know if that is indeed the case, right? So I think for the most part, you're right. I think most people are following the rules, but this virus is sneaky, and it only takes 1 or 2 cases to really get things out of control sometimes if we look at some of these super spreader events. So we have to be careful about that too.
We have more with my conversation with Dr. Janice Fitzgerald. Coming up, we're going to talk about the vaccine. Is this province ready for it? That's coming up on Here and Now. Welcome back to Here and Now. I'm sitting down with Dr. Janice Fitzgerald for her first one-on-one TV interview since the start of this pandemic. Very familiar with the briefings, of course, every week. I want to talk about the vaccine because a lot of people were really optimistic this week. Pfizer announcing preliminary results showing their vaccine is 90% effective. Do you share that hope and optimism that a lot of people are feeling right now?
Oh, certainly. I mean, a vaccine has been something we've been looking forward to for a long time in public health. So we're very hopeful that what we see when we finally do get a vaccine is what Pfizer has been saying to us. But, you know, I think some of that is preliminary information for them as well. So, yeah, we're quite hopeful that, that we'll see that same kind of success.
If things do continue to trend well, the final results confirm this, you know, Health Canada signs off on this, we could be a couple months away from rolling out those first doses. Are we ready? Because the entire world is going to be competing for the same syringes, and even we're going to need 1 million Band-Aids and alcohol swabs and all these supplies, the sort of things that we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was scrambling for and there were shortages. Mm-hmm. Are we planning ahead? Are we setting things aside? Yeah,
so we've been planning for a vaccine for quite some time. You know, we've known that the only way really through this is with a vaccine. So we've been certainly thinking about that and planning for that for quite some time. And now as things are getting closer and we're having certainly more discussions on, you know, with our federal and provincial and territorial partners to make sure that we can move forward, not just individually as jurisdictions, but also as a country with regard to the vaccines. So.
This vaccine is unique in as much as it has to be kept at below minus 70 degrees. That's obviously doable in a place like St. John's. But are we putting in the infrastructure to make sure that places like Fogo or Nain are able to receive this vaccine and we're able to get it there at those cold temperatures?
So with the vaccine, we have to consider what's the best way to do that. And you know, the other thing is that, you know, it's because the vaccine is going to be coming in allotments and, you know, we're not going to have 520,000 doses of vaccine right off the bat. You know, we have priority groups that we have to do. So those are all the logistical things that we have to work through and decide, you know, where the vaccine is going to go and where the best places for it to go and how it gets delivered there. And those conversations are going on as we speak, actually.
When you talk about priority groups, who's going to be first in line?
So there's certainly a contextual, you know, a local context that you have to put onto that. Certainly we see people who are at higher risk for disease, obviously, would be, just like we saw with H1N1, you know, the people at higher risk for disease are the people who get the priority. People who are living in congregate living situations, those sorts of vulnerable groups are certainly the people that you want to target first.
What about people like rotational workers who, giving them the vaccine means they get to end quarantine, for example?
So, I mean, those are all questions that we're considering. I can't say that we've come down on any kind of decisions about that, but certainly we're considering all of those questions in our deliberations, for sure.
When you sign up for this job, well, in fact, initially when the pandemic hit, you were the interim Chief Medical Officer of Health. You never anticipated that you were going to be front and center and on basically every newscast every evening. What's that adjustment been like for you? Because I've seen people dressed up for you as Halloween. We've seen your face cross-stitched and some of your quotes, you know, immortalized. What's that been like?
It's a bit surreal, I think. The joke in our division at work is that when we introduced the public health legislation a little over a year ago, some people didn't know the difference between the Chief Medical Officer of Health and the Chief Medical Examiner's Office, and now this year I'm a Halloween costume. So you know, it is a bit surreal that that this has happened. I do like anonymity. It was nice to not be noticed when you walk down the street, but you know, I guess people have been very kind though for the most part, almost the whole part. People have been actually very kind, and so it has been nice to know that people are generally supportive of what we're doing and the work that we're doing. So Yeah, it is an adjustment. There's no doubt about that.
What are those conversations like? Because I'm sure people must come up to you in the grocery store as you're just, you've got a few hours to yourself to try and get.
Oh, I'm not going for groceries if I got a few hours for myself. But yeah, people most of the time just come up and say, we want to say thank you, really, just to thank, everything that we're doing, and to say that they feel we're in a good spot and that they're supportive of what we've been doing. For the most part, yeah, just really kind.
When this pandemic started, the one good thing was the weather was improving. People were able to get outside, be able to interact with friends and family in a safer outside environment. Now, unfortunately, the weather's getting worse. At the same time, the pandemic's getting worse, at least in other parts of the country. What's this winter going to look like?
So I think for most of us, we have to realize that as we move back indoors, it is important for us to keep our number of contacts low. We talk about people, space, time, place, and place. Outdoors is certainly less risky than indoors, and the amount of transmission we see in outdoor settings is significantly lower than what we see in indoor settings. So if you can get outside, get out and enjoy the fresh air on good days like we have today, get out and enjoy it, go for a walk, those sorts of things. But if you're going to be having gatherings, you really need to think about keeping those numbers low, keeping your contacts consistent, that who the people you're going to be, spending most of your time with outside of your household bubble. That's fairly consistent. What they're doing, what their contacts are. It's just really about trying to keep your environment as safe as you can, and that's always challenging because Newfoundlanders, I think, are very social people by nature, and so I think it will be a challenging winter for a lot of people, but we've done it before, so we've risen to the challenge before. So,
Dr. Janice Fitzgerald, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Well, from Dr. Fitzgerald to Dr. Tam, last week Canada's top doctor gave some guidance on what masks to wear to help protect against COVID-19. Well, this week our colleagues at CBC's Marketplace take it a step further, putting more than 24 masks to the test. Charles Agro reports.
In a matter of months, masks have become a multi-million-dollar business. But it turns out not all masks are created equal when it comes to blocking out potentially harmful virus-carrying particles.
There were huge differences.
James Scott runs a lab at the University of Toronto. He put more than 24 consumer masks through a rigorous NIOSH test. That same test is used to make sure medical-grade masks are up to snuff. With no standards or standardized testing for consumer masks, Marketplace compared its masks to the gold standard, the N95. Turns out some masks do almost as good a job at filtering out those particles as N95s, including this mask made with cotton and a type of material made from plastic. It's called melt-blown non-woven polypropylene.
Honestly, this did.
I know,
That is remarkable.
Cotton masks were an interesting story too. These 3-layer cotton masks didn't do so well, but these 2-layer ones did much better. When it comes to cotton, consider quality over quantity. The high thread count cotton masks, 600 and 680 thread count, performed very well too.
So the functionality of those fabrics is because the fibers are just endlessly crossing back over top of each other, where there are basically no holes at all, which makes it able to trap particles much more efficiently.
So what didn't do so well? This rayon mask and those gaiters that many athletes wear.
If you look at that fabric, it has very, very large pores in it. Air can simply sail straight through it.
And something Scott says is useless when it comes to stopping the spread of COVID-19, valve masks.
Air only moves through the filter part of the mask when it comes in. It doesn't move through a filter to exhale, it moves through the valve. So there's nothing to intercept those particles that you may be shedding into the environment.
No matter what your mask is made of, remember, any mask is better than no mask at all. Charles Agro, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, tune in tonight for more on their results. Plus, the Marketplace team takes your fight for flight refunds straight to the airlines. That starts at 8:30 Island Time.
Welcome back to Here and Now. I'm sitting down with Dr. Janice Fitzgerald for her first one-on-one TV interview since the start of this pandemic. Very familiar with the briefings, of course, every week. I want to talk about the vaccine because a lot of people were really optimistic this week. Pfizer announcing preliminary results showing their vaccine is 90% effective. Do you
Time to find out who's celebrating. Happy 50th anniversary to Francis and Eileen Murphy in Conception Harbor. Congratulations to Lloyd and Mary Ellen Glover in Wareham. They're celebrating their 56th wedding anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary to Clarence and Irene Shears in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Floyd and Olga Shears in Rocky Harbor celebrating their 67th wedding anniversary. Happy 53rd anniversary to Frank and Daphne Evely. Anniversary greetings going out to Donald and Lisa Hurd, who are celebrating 65 years of marriage.
And a happy 57th anniversary for Hazel and Phil Hines in Stephenville. Happy 58th wedding anniversary to William and Mary Jordan in Harbor Grace this Sunday. Happy 55th anniversary to Ammon and Madeline Norris, formerly from Newtown, Bonavista Bay, now living in Badgers Key. Happy 62nd anniversary to Mary and Rex Gooby in Queens Cove. Their big day was on Tuesday. On Monday, it was a happy 53rd wedding anniversary for Wavy and Cyril Murphy in Charlottetown. Happy 64th anniversary to Mabel and Bill Bartlett in Kirpon.
Wishing Jane and Cyril Peach in Foxtrap a happy 61st wedding anniversary. Happy 59th anniversary to Rose and Mike Coombs from Portugal Cove South, now living in CBS. Happy 60th anniversary to Harvey and Shirley Osmond of Portabasque, now living in Upper Ferry. Congratulations to Brenda and Stuart Ralph from Point Leamington on their 58th wedding anniversary. Happy 56th anniversary to Calvin and Stella LeDrew in Twillingate, who celebrated on Tuesday. Peter and Shirley Barber are celebrating their 55th anniversary. They were married in Wesleyville and now live in St. John's.
And tomorrow, Ada and Stephen Boom celebrate 50 years of marriage. Congratulations. On Remembrance Day, Joseph and Anna Murren celebrated their 55th wedding anniversary. Happy 50th wedding anniversary going out to Winnie and Alvin Coates in Glenwood. Yesterday, Claude and Betty Butt in Northwest Brook celebrated their 63rd anniversary. Tomorrow, Verna and Louis Northcott will celebrate their 56th wedding anniversary. And Clifford and Margaret Tiller in Conception Bay South will celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary next Thursday. And tomorrow, a very happy 56th wedding anniversary greeting for Howard and Netta Badcock in Bay Roberts.
Happy 50th anniversary to Reg and Doris Templeman in Port Union. Ralph and Madonna Critch from Mall Bay, St. Mary's Bay, now living in Paradise, are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. Pat and Yvonne Myers are marking their 50th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. And today, Pat and Leo Brazel in Gander are celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary. Yesterday was a 61st anniversary for Mike and Ann Tobin in Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy anniversary to Jenny and Jim Owens. It's their 55th anniversary.
And a happy 58th anniversary tomorrow to Arch and Marie Rumbold in Mary's Harbor, Labrador. Happy 59th wedding anniversary greetings to Gordon and Beulah Morgan in Seal Cove, Conception Bay South. Wilfred and Lynn Reed from Weybridge, Random Island will celebrate their 50th anniversary tomorrow. And a happy 57th anniversary yesterday to John and Susan Bromley in Conch. Happy 50th anniversary to Cyril and Francis Blake of Gander Bay South, married on Friday the 13th. Edwin and Sandra White from Botwood will celebrate their 54th wedding anniversary on Sunday.
Now to some birthdays. Birthday greetings going out to Lena Mary Benoit, who celebrated her 98th birthday yesterday. A 100-year celebration for Nina Hull from Twillingate, who had her birthday last Sunday in CBS. Happy 95th birthday to Jack Elms from Portabasque. Jack served in the 59th Heavy Artillery Regiment in the Second World War. Happy 91st birthday today to Leah Knott of Cowhead, now living in Bombay. Happy 91st birthday to Annie Candow in St. John's, who celebrated on Tuesday.
Happy 93rd birthday to Kay Smith in Witless Bay, who'll be celebrating on Monday. And a happy 100th birthday to Gladys Blanchard from Pollard's Point, White Bay, celebrated on Monday. Still enjoys shopping, as you see there, with a new jacket she got just a couple of days ago. Now lives in Pollard's Point. Happy 90th birthday to Frank Young from Beachside, now living in Springdale. And happy 92nd birthday greetings next Tuesday to Lillian Power from Gull Island, Conception Bay. Happy 90th birthday to Andrew Norman in Long Harbour.
Happy 100th birthday to Maggie Short in Southbrook. Yesterday, a happy 95th birthday for Florence Hutchins. 96th birthday greetings going out to Adele Cheeseman in St. John's. Mrs. Cheeseman grew up in Jorkle and lived in Raccoon for almost 50 years. And a big 101st birthday to Wilfred Davis in Lance Amore. He will celebrate on Monday in Forteau.
All right, got the birthdays and anniversaries. Almost a second exclusive interview with Dr. Fitzgerald tonight. Despite the toll that COVID has taken on many businesses, some seasonal stores have managed to weather the storm of this pandemic.
Yes, in fact, many shop owners say sales couldn't be better, and that's because they deal in something we've all been seeking this year, a little comfort and joy. Sandra Adma has that story.
It's always Christmas at the Tinseltown Christmas Emporium in Hintonburg. But this year, in the midst of a pandemic, customers have been in a hurry to load up on ornaments and stocking stuffers.
We need sparkly right now, yeah.
Shopper Francine Guillette says she usually waits until December to start her holiday prep. But this year, a bit of Christmas magic can't come soon enough.
This year it's even more important to get some stuff that is shiny, that is happy, because with the whole COVID situation that has been going on.
Altogether, madame, it comes to $17.97. How would you like to pay today?
Owner Audie Ziegler says he's been busy ringing up sales since the summer.
Well, business is booming.
Ziegler says he's grateful for the business because he knows many retailers are struggling. But he says his customers are searching for a little relief from the worries of the ongoing pandemic and American politics.
My product that I sell, it's like a whipped cream. Nobody needs it, but it's just that nice little topping that just makes you feel great.
On social media, hashtag Early Christmas is trending, with early preppers posting images of their decorated trees and holiday crafts. These cozy, nostalgic comforts may be just what the doctor ordered, according to a psychologist who specializes in stress and mental health.
Light and music stimulate our brain to release then dopamine, release norepinephrine, and it helps us regulate our stress level too, which at the moment we're all kind of experiencing very high levels of stress.
This shopper says this Christmas will be bittersweet because she'll be missing family get-togethers.
This year's a bit tougher for us because we probably won't get home. So it's a bit of it's going to be a harder Christmas for all of us. So we thought, come down, get some ornaments, get set up at home a little bit with some festivities.
To brighten up a very different holiday season.
42 days to Christmas.
Ooh.
Have a great weekend.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.